In this video, we are going to discuss the importance of French defense, which currently begins with the move e4 and when black replies e6. Here we enter into French defense. Now the main importance of French defense comes that we are giving white the importance to give control over the center. Where white controls the center, now we are going to create a clash on the center by playing d5, attacking one of the pawns. Now, in this position, white has three options: whether to push it forward, whether to exchange one of the pawns, or whether to develop knight to c3, protecting the pawn. Here we are going to look for advanced variation where white pushes the pawn forward. Now, in this position, we can see our knight cannot be further developed. If we are going to develop our knight at e7, then our bishop is going to be blocked. So in such ways we can begin with the move c5 attacking along the center where you can develop your bishop if white takes, and at last you can develop your knight and then put a castle on the king side for your king safety. In this position white decides not to take it. Instead white decides to play c3. Now in this position if you directly take it and you come to exchange variation, you must play knight to c6, pressurizing the center. Here white plays knight to f3, where we begin with queen to b6, attacking along the diagonal, attacking the center. Now white plays a tricky move here, and that is bishop to d3. Many of you would be saying whether to push it forward. That can also be the right option. But here we are going to look for exchange, where black takes the pawn, white also takes, and at last we can see that our knight can capture this. But there is a suggestion that you must not take that pawn because let us say we take, white takes the knight, queen takes, and at last, can you find that check? So the correct option is playing bishop to b5 giving a check, where you have left your queen hanging and at last you are going to lose your queen. So it's generally not a good idea to take this pawn. Coming back to our position, in this position we decided to take the pawn. We will go further to this. White takes the pawn, then we can easily develop our bishop by playing bishop to d7. This is the better idea and we will be waiting for white to play another move. White decides to develop the knight. White is gone here. Now here you can easily capture one pawn without any obstacle because white takes it, queen takes it. Now there is no deadly check as bishop already covers it. So you win the pawn and at last white will be deciding to castle or white will be playing f4 and many other variations. At last you are going to win one pawn and if you play carefully you are going to win the game as well. In this position, we all talked about bishop to d7, but many of the players commit one mistake, and that is playing f6. F6 move is not a very nice move because you are opening the diagonal for your king, which is not necessarily at all, and white can use his pieces for attacking along this open diagonal. So you must take care for this. Anyways, if you have made this mistake, what you can do is you can wait for white for capturing this pawn, and in the game also white captures the pawn, black captures the pawn, white decides to castling. We play bishop to d6, preparing for castling. In the next move, white plays knight to c3. Then we begin with castling. Now you can see that this pawn is currently under attack by our two pieces, while white has only one defender and that is the knight. So white must play the bishop back or white should play bishop to e3 developing the bishop. But white plays a very shocking move and that is a3. White should have developed the bishop, protecting the pawn at d4, but fought by 2 is playing a3. So it means that white wants you to take this pawn. And if you take the pawn, white captures the pawn, queen captures the pawn, and at last this is completely a blunder because white begins with brilliant bishop sacrifice, giving a check. This is a forcing move, and at last you are going to lose your queen. Uh-huh. Now, as we all discussed about advanced variation, where white begins with the move e5. In this position, white plays knight to c3, protecting the pawn at e4, controlling the center as well. Now, if we are going to take this pawn, we begin with Rubinstein variation, but we are not going to play this. Instead, we develop another knight, attacking the pawn at center. So, white pins the bishop, pins the knight, white is bishop, attacking the queen. So, we play bishop to b4, pinning their knight, and at last, white plays e5, attacking this knight. So you can see that this knight is to be protected. How you can protect this knight? You can look for the forcing move, and that forcing move can be attack, giving threat, and that is playing x6, giving threat to the bishop. Now bishop goes back to d2. Let us say bishop goes over g4. Don't worry, push it back. And in this game, bishop went to d2. Here we are going to take the knight. Bishop takes the knight. Knight to e4, protecting the knight as well as attacking the bishop. Bishop goes to b4. Here we play c5, attacking the bishop. If pawn takes, white is gone. Here we are going to begin with brilliant knight sacrifice at f2, which is attacking the queen as well as the rook. And if king takes it, then comes the queen, giving the check to x4, attacking the bishop as well. White plays g3, and at last white loses the bishop. Now you can see that this queen currently attacks both these pawns, and this is the hanging pawn which can be attacked by this queen. You also made a difficult position for your opponent's king, so you can take advantage of this position to win your game. So here we all discussed about playing knight to c3 or the advanced variation. But here there is another variation, and that is the exchange variation, where you take the pawn at center, and that is taking the d5 pawn. Here we recapture the pawn, and this position is completely easy because you can develop your knights, your bishop, you can fight the castle and win the game by applying basic rules of chess.